Hey, Editing Brooke here. So I realized there was a lot of stuff I didn't tell y'all, and so this is going to be part one. We're going to have a part two of this Universal tips and tricks videos, so be on the lookout for that part number 2. Hey guys, so my family recently went to Universal Studios in Florida. We went to 3 parks. We went to Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and Epic Universe. I'm just going to kind of talk to you, friend to friend, have a conversation about what we did, what worked. This isn't like a top 10 or do these 20 things or anything like that, because I really don't know a good way to put this in any sort of order. So let's just talk about what my family did, things that worked, things that didn't work, things that I switched up and would do different next time. Yeah, let's just talk about it. So my family of 5 went the week of January 25th. We went on Sunday the 25th through Saturday the 31st, I think. So last week in January, we stayed at Surfside, the Endless Summer Resort, Surfside Inn and Suites. Yeah, there's Dockside and there's Surfside. We stayed at Surfside. We had the 6 days. We had Sunday through Saturday. We drove down. We are in North Carolina. It took us about a 9-hour drive, but we split it up. Both trips we ended up splitting and going about halfway or a little more than halfway. And we did that the first time going down because we didn't want to go in really late on Sunday, since we had our tickets were good to go into the parks on Sunday. We wanted to get there so that we would have time, a few hours in the park. So we ended up staying about 3 hours from the park. So we got up and drove and had the afternoon on Sunday afternoon to be able to go into the parks. If you are not familiar with me, I'm going to put the picture of my family so you kind of see our ages. But it was myself, my husband, our 2 daughters who are 11 and 15, and then my son who is 4. He turned 4 in December. So if you are planning a trip, hopefully this will help. I'm going to give you some, the tips and tricks and stuff. And yeah, let's just talk about stuff that worked and didn't work. Let me also start this off also by saying that we did not go to Disney World. It is amazing to me how many people don't know the difference between Universal and Disney, and they just interchange the word Universal with Disney. But I know nothing about going to Disney World. We did not go to Disney World, and I cannot give you tips and tricks on going to Disney World with your family. We went to Universal Studios, Florida, Islands of Adventure in Orlando, Epic Universe in Orlando. That's where we went, not Disney. I don't know the prices for Disney. I am going to give you some of the prices that we had just to give you a ballpark, because that was one of the biggest things that I was worried about when we were first planning this trip. We booked ours through a travel agent, and I will post a link to her page in the description. She's kind of local here in North Carolina, but she does all kinds of, she'll book a lot of different things. So give her a maybe go give her a look, check her website out. She's got a Facebook page. I will link that. So we booked through the travel agency. I don't know if I would use the travel agency again, but it helped my confidence to know what I was booking, that I was getting a good deal and getting all the packages and things. It just helped me have better peace of mind when booking this, because it was a lot of money. I mean, if you're following my page for any length of time, you know that we do things on budget, and we don't try not to spend money lightly. So this was a big deal for us. We saved up for a couple of years for this. We skipped our normal yearly, beach trips that we do. We usually just go to a North Carolina beach for, 3 or 4 days or however much we can afford. We skipped that for a couple of years. We were really buckling down, and we had a budget for this. So one of the things that we did was had the budget. So even if you've got, lots of money to spend on this, or you think you don't need a budget because you don't have a limited amount of money, I still suggest using a budget, just so you have an idea of what you can spend every day. So that was one thing we did, was the budget. I knew how much money we could put toward this, so I knew how much money we could put toward all the different things in the budget. So we come up with a money amount. Booking the trip, let me just go ahead and say, this was January 25th through I think it was the 31st. It was a Sunday through Saturday. We had 3 park tickets. You can get multiple, different amounts of parks. I guess you could do all 4 parks, or you could just do 2 or 3. So we did 3 parks, and we had park to park, I think is what it's called. So we had where you could go to any of the 3 parks at any time. We could leave one park during the day and go to another park, interchange it. Like, we were free to go to all 3 parks anytime we wanted to, all the days that we were there. We stayed at Surfside Inn and Suites for 6 nights for 5 people. We had the 2-room suite, or 2-bedroom suite. So you had 3 beds, I think they were full-size beds. So you had the main room, and then you had a separate bedroom with the double bed in it. And it was, I'm trying to think what just booking the trip itself was. I believe it was about $4,500. So just to give you a ballpark, that was January 25th for 6 nights, 3 parks, park to park. It was also had the photo package in there. There was a 5-day photo package. And that was for the 2-bedroom suite for 5 people. And all 5 of us had to have tickets. We all had park tickets. So that was 5 people, 6 nights, Surfside Inn, January 25th of 2026. So prices are going to change. Inflation's going to go crazy, I'm sure, from one year to the next. I don't know how long this video will be floating around there and who's viewing it. But that was the price, January of 2026, for a family of 5. And it depends on how many parks you do. If you do the park to park, there's all different variations. That's why I felt more comfortable having a travel agency help me with this for this trip. We do plan to go back. I don't know how soon it'll be, but we do plan to go back because it was a lot of fun. Some tips for the drive down there. We split the drive up. I don't know how we would do it again. Depends on the ages of your kids. We had a 4-year-old on this trip, so that was a lot of potty breaks. My 11-year-old had a lot of potty breaks. But what we did seemed to work pretty good. I think we could have drove a little bit longer on the way down there, but I already had planned to stop. I already had the hotel booked to do about the halfway point. We stayed in Fernandina Beach, just outside of Jacksonville, on the way down. And then drove that like 3.5 hours to the park on Sunday. Yeah, for the 4-year-old, that was a little bit difficult because he was getting antsy. But yeah, we split the trip up on the way there and the way back. We ended up splitting because we came back in a snowstorm. So we stayed in South Carolina on the way home and gave the DOT at least another day to clear the roads, main roads, so we could get home. The room, let me just start with that. Some things that we took for the room, or I would take, since we had a 4-year-old and he is fully potty trained. I would have took a stool. He didn't have we were there for 6 days or 6 nights, and I had to help him, or somebody had to help him up on the toilet every time he went to the bathroom. So that I would have gotten a stool. We could have bought one somewhere, but just forewarning, if you've got a potty training little one, I guess if you're going anywhere, any sort of long trip, but we don't take long trips, and we haven't since we've had one potty training, so I didn't think about it, but he needed a little step stool to get on the toilet. I would have took one. Thinking back, that's one thing I would have changed. Sound machines. Some people, I've seen some reviews about Surfside that they don't like it because the walls are thin, uninsulated. They can hear every noise of their neighbors upstairs and downstairs. We didn't have that problem, but we did take sound machine. I forgot to pack one of them, so we ended up with one sound machine, and we used our phone for the other sound machine because we're in this house, we are all used to sleeping with like white noise or ocean sounds or something. So the kids were in the main room and they had the sound machine, and then me and my husband just used my cell phone and we played white noise on my phone during the night while it was plugged up charging. But I think the sound machine helped because there's people coming and going in all hours. You've got City Walk, which is open until I think like 1 or 2 a.m. or something like that. It's open really late. So you've got people coming and going at all hours. And the wall in the bathroom, we could tell that we shared a bathroom, like the bathrooms were back to back, because we could hear the noises through the bathroom. Just, not like full-on conversations of people or anything, but we could tell that there was somebody on the other side of the bathroom, which, not a big deal. I mean, I'd say the quality of that hotel was about like maybe like a Comfort Inn, a Quality Inn, something like that. No, I'd say a step above. Like the room itself, I'm saying like the quality of the furniture and the bathroom fixtures and things like that. There was a microwave, there was a good sized mini fridge. They supplied like the coffee maker, some coffee supplies. They had the ice bucket like you get in a normal hotel room. It was about like what you would expect from like a, $100, $150, $200 maybe hotel, average cost type hotel. not like this is Surfside and Dockside is their lowest value of a park or a hotel that you can stay that is like an actual park hotel. You get all the benefits. You get the 1 hour early access with your park ticket. You get the shuttle services to and from all the parks and City Walk. But it's their value, whatever, value properties or something like that. Like, it's considered the lowest tier of the hotels. But we liked it. We opted when we checked in. They asked if we wanted room service. That was an option to either get it upon request or have room service every day. And I went ahead and went for the room service every day. My kids were really excited when they figured out that the housekeeping was they were making the beds and they were taking all the stuffed animals and like lining them up on the bed. So every time we would come back in the afternoon or the evening, they were looking to see how the stuffed animals were going to be arranged on the bed. So that was cool. But I appreciated that, you know, coming and emptying the trash, restocking the towels, and making the beds, sweeping the floors. You know, that little bit helped so much because we were so tired when we got back every night. Our feet hurt. Something else I would have taken was like a foot massager, maybe like some Epsom salt. 2 or 3 nights when we got back, I run the bathtub full of hot water and we all soaked our feet. Or we took turns, but we were soaking our feet at night, especially me and my husband, because we were dying. Our feet were killing us that week. It was fun, but our feet were killing us. So I would like take, like a foot massager, like one of those rolly things, and maybe some Epsom salt to soak my feet in. Also on that note, make sure you have good walking shoes. Try not to buy a pair of new shoes. Make sure you got some good, comfortable, broke-in walking shoes because you are going to be doing a lot of walking. Checking in at Surfside was very easy. You pull it. We drove. I don't know about flying in. They do have a luggage counter, so I think everybody that flies in and gets their luggage delivered to the hotel, there's like a luggage counter there at one of the elevators, just the little hallway right past the check-in counter. You check in separately for the hotel, and then you get your park tickets. I do have mine, and this was something that ended up being a big deal with my kids because when we checked in, they gave me 5 tickets, 5 like key cards for the hotel, and even for my 4-year-old, he had one too, because that is your pass or whatever to do early access. So you got a little paper ticket. I'm not going to show the details on the other side, but this is just a thin little paper ticket, and this was my, well, I'll show a little bit of it. This was my ticket to get into the parks. This was the park to park, super flimsy, so definitely we had lanyards. But you get this at the separate check-in from checking in at the hotel. So you check in at the hotel first. They give you the key cards. Let me show you the key cards really quick. All of them have characters on them, but they were all, sorry, I've got this thing where it's kind of fuzzy. This one was mine. It has my name on it has my name on it. It has the dates on it. It's got like a barcode down here. So everybody that's in your group is going to have an assigned key card, and that goes with your assigned park ticket. You have to have this to get the early access if you go in the 1 hour early that is allowed at some of the parks. And then you have the actual park ticket, like I showed you, that was a little paper ticket. Everybody had one of those. I didn't realize that these key cards were specific to each person. So my kids were looking at the characters and picking out which card they wanted. There was Transformers, there was Trolls. I can't remember what I think there was a Nintendo World scene on one of them. So they were picking out which one they wanted. And my 4-year-old was devastated when he figured out he couldn't have the one that he picked out because they had names on them. And I didn't realize when I was letting them look at the characters and they were picking their characters. I didn't realize. So just right off the bat, don't let your kids try to pick out their card because they already have one assigned to them that already has their name on it. I got the photo package. If you do not get the photo package, this is what it's another little piece of paper that you have to get in the parks. This you do not pick up at the counter at the hotel. This is something that you have to get in the parks. So this has a little QR code on the back of it for you to scan. anytime one of the employees takes your picture, or when you're done with the ride and they have the little kiosk thing for you to see your picture that they took of you while you were on the ride, you scan this and they add it to your account, and then you go on the website, log in, and you can see everything. So when I got this, they gave me the lanyard that says My Universal Photos. It's got the little clasp on it. This is nice, and they asked me if I wanted a second one. And there was no charge, so I got the second one, and my husband wore his. So it came, with the little clasp and the plastic lanyard, cover case thing, the card case. So I used this. I wore one. It had my key card, my park tickets, ticket, and the photo package. So anytime that we took a picture, I had it right here. If I rode a ride where you weren't supposed to have anything loose, I just tucked this down in my shirt. That way I had it on me all the time, because I wanted to have the picture thing at the end of the ride so that I could get our picture. So I like I said, they asked me if I wanted a second one, so I did get the second one with the photo package, so that my husband had one. So he also had a lanyard with all of his stuff on it. Let's see what his picture was. This was my husband's, and it was the little Nintendo World scene. And then my son's, he was not super happy about it, got trolled. So that was what was on his key card. If you are not doing any kind of photo package, I still definitely recommend the lanyard. You can get them off of Amazon. But it came in super handy to have it right there on your person, and even to have my key card for the room. Let me go back to the budget. I told you this was not going to be in any kind of order. We made a budget. I knew how much money we needed for parking. If you go and park at Surfside, it was $26 per night to park there. We did that because we drove. And then I knew how much we budgeted for our gas to get down there. My husband and I decided on a money amount for each person, so we knew what the budget was for each person to spend for souvenirs. And then the eating out, we knew that was going to be a big chunk of the budget, because there were things that we wanted to eat at the parks. The specific types of drinks and snacks and things like that we knew we wanted to do. So we budgeted in there. We knew how much money we had overall, souvenirs, and then the eating out. So I knew right off the bat when we got there how much money we could spend. I definitely recommend doing that, especially if you have kids, because they are going to be asking for everything under the sun when you are walking through the gift shops. So if you know how much money they can spend, depending on their age, my 4-year-old, he didn't really understand the money concept, but my 11-year-old and my 15-year-old definitely understood that they could only spend a certain amount of money. Definitely recommend that. and for me, you might be like, that's, totally nerdy, but I had a spreadsheet, because of course I have a spreadsheet for everything. But I put in my totals, I plugged in my numbers, and that helped me figure out what we could spend on things. And we went ahead and looked up prices of some of the souvenirs. You can go on the Universal Store website and see what some of the normal prices are for things. Like keychains are from $13 to $20. Shirts, long sleeve. Well, I didn't see a lot. I was wanting a long sleeve t-shirt. I didn't see a lot of long sleeve t-shirts. They were mostly hoodies, zip up hoodies, and sweatshirts. I ended up getting a sweatshirt, a women's sweatshirt that was just it was the retro Universal Studios Florida logo thing on it. It was $55, I think, and that's about what all the hoodies and sweatshirts are, about $50, $55. This blanket was, I believe, $50. See if I can get this up here. Jurassic Park. So this blanket was about $50, and that was about the normal price for any of the blankets. You had like coffee cups, mugs, things like that. They were like $20, $25. I went in with an idea of what I wanted to buy, and I tried to get an idea of what my kids were wanting, so we could get a ballpark of how much, what type of items they could get, or how many, or whatever. Butterbeers, that was something that was on my girls' list. They're about $10 a piece. So if you figure you're going to be there for however many days and however many butterbeers every day, they knew how much they could spend, or how many butterbeers they could buy. The lemon, I think it's called lemon squash. My 15-year-old loved that. That was at one of the oh, where were we at? Was that Universal Studios or Islands? I don't even remember. I'm really bad about but in one of the Harry Potter worlds, there was a place that sold lemon squash, I think is what it was called. It was like a super sweet lemonade, and she loved it. She liked it more than the butterbeer. But yeah, we did the budget. We looked up about how much different souvenirs were so we could get a ballpark of what we wanted, and we kind of knew going in what we wanted to buy. My 11-year-old wanted a wand. She knew exactly which one she wanted because you can look those up. So yeah, definitely get an idea of what you can spend, what you can buy, especially with the kids, because they're, like I said, they're going to want everything. Or if you've got adults that are big kids that are going to want everything. So you can keep the spending under control. The food, you can look up menus too, so you can see like if there's something specific you're wanting to get. Just know it's going to be theme park prices. Everything's expensive. But if you budget your money for the things that you were wanting, then, you know, you'll be good. We did a lot of splitting. We shared stuff. So, like, my husband wanted a Krusty Burger one night, and none of us were super hungry, so he went and got a basket that had the burger and the fries. I got a couple of bites of his burger, and then I think one of my girls had already gotten popcorn. So she was eating on her popcorn. She got one of the refillable popcorn buckets. I think it was $30. But that covered refills. They were only $3, I believe, in the popcorn bucket. And you can get the different characters at the different parks. She ended up with I was going to bring it in here, the star from the Nintendo World. And the front of it lit up, so it was really cool looking with her carrying it around at night. But she got that as a souvenir, plus it also gave her a cheaper snack. So I remember that one night, my husband got the Krusty Burger. We all stacked on the fries, and I ate a couple bites of the burger. My daughter was eating the popcorn that she had gotten and sharing that with her brother. So we did a lot of sharing and splitting. We did kids' meals. We split entrees. We split desserts. We got snacks at a couple of spots, and we split those. So I already knew, you know, my kids knew going in that we were going to be splitting stuff. Everybody wasn't getting their own of everything. The only place that we didn't split, well, that my husband and girls didn't split, was at Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium in City Walk. We already knew that we were wanting to get the milkshakes. Those milkshakes are, at the time, they were $18, $19, and $20 a piece, depending on which one you get. So yeah, it was about $100 to get 4 milkshakes, plus we got an appetizer of fries to split. But again, that was something that we budgeted. We knew we were going to spend that money. We knew how much those were when we went into it, so it wasn't a shock. We got the souvenir cups. I was going to bring one of those in too to show you, but I didn't. It was a plastic jar that says Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium. It was like a mason jar kind of thing. I think it has a handle, but plastic little jar that the milkshake came in. So we did that one night, and that was like one of the only things that we didn't share. I shared mine with my 4-year-old because I wasn't going to spend $20 on him a milkshake that he was only going to eat 2 bites of and be done. But yeah, if you do some splitting, I mean, you're walking, depending on the time, you know, the time of year, how the temperature, it was kind of cold when we were walking around. So we weren't like drinking a ton, and we weren't super hungry. So it wasn't like we weren't trying to eat full meals for every meal in the park. And when I don't know, I guess our nerves were just kind of all over the place, because of like waiting for different rides and walking from one place to another and doing so much, and it just being so much going on. We weren't starving. We did go back to the room. We packed groceries. We stopped at the grocery store. I packed some stuff, and then we bought some stuff on the way in, and we took in some groceries. In the room at Surfside, you get a good sized mini fridge. It does not have a freezer, and you get a microwave, and that's it. You got shelf space to put groceries. It was a good amount of shelf space. It was like one that goes this way and then one that goes this way over the microwave. So we took, just to give you an idea of some stuff to do, we took the stuff to make sandwiches. So we had a pack of deli meat, some cheese, mustard mayonnaise, like the small mustard and mayonnaise took with us. I think that was it for that. I bought a thing of grapes so that we would have some fresh fruit to grab, and For breakfast, we had mini muffins. Like, I got the prepackaged mini muffins. I did make some muffins before we had left, so we had some to snack on the way down there. But I got quite a few boxes of the mini muffins, because that is always a good thing to, like, throw in the bag to take in the parks, which I'll talk about that in a second. And then I bought pre-cooked bacon. I never buy pre-cooked bacon because it's so expensive, but it worked perfect for this. When we were up in the mornings getting ready to go, I just threw a pack of bacon in the microwave, heated it up, and everybody grabbed on it while they were getting ready, and that gave us some protein. So we had 6 mornings, I bought 6 packs. So every morning I just threw a thing in there, and we all snacked on it as we were getting ready. And then we got milk to go with our cereal. I took dry cereal. So the dry cereal doubled as breakfast or a snack. So we took snacks into the park. I think if you look at the park's information, it says that you're not supposed to bring any outside food or water or food or drinks aside from anything that's medically necessary or like baby formula. But you can pretty much pack your lunch. I mean, you can take any kind of food in the parks. Do not take a hard-sided cooler, but as long as you've got like a backpack, fanny pack, a soft-sided cooler, whatever, they're not going to say anything about the food that you're taking in. I've seen so many people on Facebook groups. That's another thing. Join Facebook groups. Watch all kind of YouTube videos if you're planning, which you're already doing that. If you're watching this video, you're getting some information about a trip to Universal. But I suggest also joining like Facebook groups and things to get some information. So I learned a lot off of that about people taking in snacks, and that helped me out because that helped us not to have to stop and get a super expensive snack all the time. I took granola bars. The cereal that we had, like I said, doubled as a snack. So I packed Ziploc bags with us. So everybody, I would be like, get your bag snack. And everybody packed a snack. So the cereal doubled. The granola bars doubled as snacks. I got a box of Cheez-Its. So that was a room snack. Plus it was a bag snack, especially for my son. And then we took bottles of water in our bags that you could refill. One of the things that you can do is the Freestyle cups. This was the one that my husband got. My 11-year-old ended up getting one for herself. She wanted it as a souvenir and to get some drink, but she didn't get it until like the last day or two. She got the Epic Universe themed one. I think it's in her room. I was grabbing this one out and didn't see hers. I think she's got it in her room. But she didn't want it just for the drink. She wanted it as a souvenir. And that worked for me because it was a way to get some cheaper drink too, plus it was a souvenir. So the way these work, these are the Freestyle cups. You'll see and hear a lot about this at the parks. They have a little microchip in the bottom of them. The Freestyle machines will not work if you have not either just purchased the cup that day or have reloaded it the next day. So at the time, these were $20, and then the recharge each day was $13. And you could refill it every 10 minutes. It's got the little microchip in there. You put it in the Freestyle machine. If it has not been 10 minutes, it won't work. If you don't leave it still enough for it to read the microchip, or if something damages it and the microchip's not working, I think you can get the cup exchanged. But it's got to read that microchip in the Freestyle Coke machines, and then you can pour your drink every 10 minutes. And this, it came in handy. My husband and I shared this. You're not supposed to split it, but I think somewhere in the rules it says you're not supposed to share or split, but it's like we're refilling it every 10 minutes. Who cares who is drinking out of it? But my husband and I shared this, plus I poured a little bit into our kids' drinks every once in a while. My oldest daughter drinks water a lot anyway, so she didn't really care for it. And then I told you my other daughter, she ended up buying one for herself. She used her souvenir money for it. And got that. But it was great for every 10 minutes being able to fill that up. If you are going to be drinking a lot of soft drink, I mean, if you can do without it, that would save you a lot of money. But if you're going to be buying soft drinks for your meals or just walking around the park, I think just a drink by itself is like, I don't know, I want to say like $6, kind of depending on where you were at. You can just get them at the stands. Anywhere that has the Freestyle machines, you can buy the cups. Or you can, I think, get a one-time use cup. But it was, I'd say if you're going to get more than 3 drinks a day, it's worth it to get the Freestyle cup, and then reload it the next day, especially on the reload days, because it's only $13. So if you're going to get more than 2 drinks a day, it's worth it to reload. And you get a souvenir cup. So, I'm trying to think. I'm kind of just sporadic on this. What did I cover? The room. We took the stroller. That was a big thing. Something that I was really surprised at. I was surprised at how many people were there and how safe my stuff felt. I don't know. I guess I'm not used to being in that. I'm definitely not used to being in that big a crowd. This was the biggest park, international type place that I have ever been. My husband had ever been. But we took our stroller, and there was designated stroller spots like outside of the rides, outside of the restaurants, and I was amazed that nobody messed with our stuff. I'm sure you'll get stories of people who say that some things were stolen off of their strollers. I've seen stories of people saying that the squirrels and the pigeons stole stuff like food off of their strollers or out of their kids' hands. I didn't see any of that while I was there. I did see a lot of pigeons and squirrels. The pigeons were everywhere. It was kind of crazy. But I was surprised that nobody messed with the strollers. It was just like, I don't know. I mean, the employees, I think, keep an eye on them. But we were able to leave our stuff in the stroller to go do the rides or go in restaurants or whatever. And it felt totally safe. I definitely recommend the stroller. We will, if we ever go back and my son's still little enough to be in any type of stroller, we will have a stroller. The only time that it was aggravating was getting on and off the shuttles, which are buses. It's like a city bus, and I had never been on a bus like this because we don't live in the city. It was the type of bus where you've got all the seats on the outside, and then they tell you to move in and go all the way to the back, and there's handles that you hang on to. We rode mostly on those buses, and then one night coming home, we were on like I don't know what we call it, like a tour bus kind of thing, where it was the individual seats. Tour bus? Is that what the word I'm looking for? Like where you had 2 seats on this side and 2 seats on the other side, and one aisle down the middle, and it was like I'm wanting to say tour bus, but I think there's another word for it. It's like tour bus. Sure. We'll just go with that. Okay, if I think of another word for it, I'll let you know. But it was mostly like the city buses, and you had to fold the stroller up and carry it on with you. So that was a little bit aggravating. But other than that, being in the parks, it was great for throwing your bags and your jackets and things on the stroller to be able to go into a ride somewhere and not worry about somebody grabbing your stuff. Am I missing anything? I think my favorite part was Epic Universe at night, lit up. It was so cool. They're open until 10 most nights, and it was just so cool. The way that they have the lights, it's just everything's, I guess, new and bright, and they really went all out to make it look like you are walking into a different world in all the different portals. It was just so cool. At 10 o'clock every night, they did a light show, and all the lights in the Celestial City? The middle part of Epic Universe. They did a water show and a light show, and it was so cool. Every night about 10 o'clock, when the park is closing, you would hear the music starting, and you'd get out there and everybody's leaving at one time, kind of rushing together to leave, and the lights are all over the park, like the lights, the lamppost lights, the ambient lighting under the benches and around the handrails, like everything is in sync with the light show, and it was so cool, so pretty. And the Helios Hotel is there, and the lights in front of it are lighting up all at the same time with the music. It was so cool. If we could ever stay in the Helios in Epic, I think that would be really cool. I have no idea how much that would cost, but it was cool. Okay, let me think of some more tips and tricks kind of stuff. I cannot think. What did I not cover? I had a book bag. I carried like a crossbody book bag that the actual bag part was like this big, and I had it on my back, and I could pull it around to the front and grab my stuff out of it. When you're going into the parks, you're going to go through the security. They're going to x-ray your stuff. You got to make sure that you can take everything off of your person. Like if you've got bags, cell phones, whatever, you have to take all that off, put it into a clear tote box thing. Put it all in the box, slide it through the x-ray machine, and then individually each one of your party has to walk through the, oh my goodness, what's it called? Metal detector. So even my son in the stroller, one of us would go through first, and then we would push him in his stroller through the metal detector. And the person who had walked through first would, be there with him and then the next person would go through, and we had to go through individually, and then you grab all your stuff off the other end. So when you're going into the parks, if you're going through, like, go to City Walk, you're gonna have to do it before you get into City Walk. You go through the security part first, and that'll be x-raying your stuff, take your bags off. They choose, pick and choose to look through your bags, but I think they mostly just do the x-ray thing. And then there were security officers with the wands doing some people like that, but I didn't see it a whole lot. But that's before you get into City Walk. And then when you're going into Epic, we didn't go in Volcano Bay. When you're going into Epic, they have the same deal where you go through that security thing first, and then you go through the thing to the actual park entrance where you have to show your ticket to get in. At Epic, they used facial recognition, and we didn't even have to show our tickets. I don't even think one time we showed our tickets going into Epic. They did the facial recognition. But at City Walk, going into Studios and Islands, you had to show your ticket to get in there. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. If you have any questions, put it in the comments and we'll have a discussion. Maybe if you've been to Universal yourself and you think of something that I've missed, we can help each other out. We split up. That was something that I would do again. After we were there like 3 days and I was comfortable with the process of getting on the shuttle, and, going into the parks and kind of had my bearings of what was where, we did split up and I let my son get a nap. So my husband and daughters, the first time we split up, they went in to ride, I believe it was Ministry of Magic, because it had a really long wait time, and my son was not doing good with the wait times. I mean, he did good, but any little kid is not going to be able to do well with a 3-hour wait. And he couldn't ride that ride anyway. So the first time, me and my 4-year-old got a nap, and my husband and my daughters went ahead and they went in to go ride that ride and do the wait time while we were napping. And then we went in by ourselves. That was the night we went to Epic, and I walked into Epic Universe at night, and it was so pretty. But yeah, I would do that again. If you've got one that needs a nap, I definitely would recommend letting them get a nap. And we never did do the early entry. I think a lot of people do the early entry, and then by supper time, they're done. So there was a lot of evenings where we were in the parks until close. Like, I think every night we were in the parks until close. And they all close at different times. You definitely need to download the app. I should have covered that first. There's Universal app. You need the app to see the wait times, to see the park hours, to do mobile ordering. That was a big one. The mobile ordering was so easy. Like, I would not, after standing in line for rides, I'm not going to stand in line for my food. If I don't have to, I'm not going to stand in line for food with kids that are hungry and ready to eat and get a snack and a drink. So we mobile ordered. We did I think it was Burger Digs, the Jurassic Park area. We got there. It said mobile ordering available. I scanned the QR code, ordered, walked up to the counter. Our food was there in like 2 minutes, and we carried it off to a table. Other places, you go in and you sit down and you scan the QR code and you order on the app, and then you order on the app, you pick the restaurant you're at, and then you scan your QR code on your table to tell the app what table number you're at, and then they bring your food to you at your table. Make sure you hit the submit button. That was one that got us a couple of times. Like, you go through and you place the order, and then you have to also submit. You put the table number in, and then there's another button. Just make sure you go all the way to the end of the order process, and that tells you that they're fixing your food. But yeah, mobile ordering, the app, I kind of lost track of. I had one idea right after the other, and I forgot where I was at. We had the app. We definitely ordered the food on the app. What else did we do? I was talking about splitting up with the little one, getting a nap. Oh, depending on the age, if you're taking little ones, my son is 4. He had just turned 4 in December. He has been potty trained for probably about 6 months. It took a while. we had some struggles, but he is fully potty trained. Was fully potty trained for this trip. But on the long car ride, we told him that he was going in a pull-up, he wears a pull-up for bedtime. He does nap time without a pull-up. He's been doing that for several months. He's been fine without a pull-up at nap time. But bedtime is still an issue, and, you know, it'll take a little bit. But for the ride, we put a pull-up on him, and we told him that was, you know, just for emergencies and, you know, just in case he fell asleep for a really long time because it was a really long ride, which he did not fall asleep. I don't think any of the riding. I don't think he fell asleep not more than 30 minutes. He was too excited. But something that I didn't think about doing after day 2, I think, in the parks and having emergency potty trips and having to get out of line for something that I had already been waiting like an hour in, and I had to run out of line to take him to the bathroom. My husband had the idea of putting a pull-up on him. So after day 2, I believe it was, of potty emergencies, I just put a pull-up on him. I had not packed enough. We ended up having to buy some pull-ups before we got home, just because he was wearing them all day and then, or most of the day, and then wearing them at night, and I wasn't like leaving the same ones on him. I was prepared for him to have the nighttime pull-ups, but not prepared for the daytime pull-ups. But he did good, and it totally depends on what stage you're in the potty training with your kid, if this would work or not, because some kids will go backwards if you put them in pull-ups. But he did fine. He knew that it was for emergencies, and I think it helped him because after I put a pull-up on him to go into the parks, he didn't have accidents, and he was less anxious, I think, about having an accident, because he knew that if he did have a little bit of an accident, it was going to be fine because he was wearing a pull-up, and he wasn't going to get in trouble or anything like that, and it wasn't going to be a mess of having to change clothes. So after we put the pull-up on him, he didn't have to go to the bathroom as much. So I think it helped him. I think it helped his anxiety to have that pull-up on. And I would do it. I would do it again. I would have started on the first day of putting the pull-up on him. But again, totally depends on where you're at and if your kid will be okay with putting a pull-up on him. But I think, yeah, it helped him to not be so anxious about having an accident because he was wearing the pull-up, and we didn't have to change clothes. He did, I think, have one accident in a pull-up in one of those days, but it was very little, nothing huge. But it was because we were waiting in line somewhere and didn't get out of line in time. Okay, trying to think. Again, ask questions if I didn't cover something. I'm trying to think with the kids. We covered food. We covered souvenirs, the stroller, the groceries that I packed, laundry. We washed clothes. I don't know if I would do this different or not. But we did not pack enough clothes for every day because I had already planned on using the laundry facilities and washing clothes. And that just saved on some of the luggage. So we washed clothes once. I think I went on Wednesday or Thursday, and I washed our clothes so that we would have clean stuff to wear on Friday and Saturday, and then ended up Sunday because we extended it to coming home. Make sure you have quarters. The machine in the laundry area would not, like, it took a card, but it would not take my card. I don't know if my bank, my credit card company, I don't know if it declined it because of the type of machine it was, but it would just work better if you had quarters. So make sure you've got change. I think most laundry areas have a machine to get quarters, you know, to the money exchange, like dollar bills into quarters. So make sure you've got some cash for the laundry if you're going to be doing that. And that saved us some packing space, but still had to go do laundry. So I don't know how I would do that different, if I would or not, but that was what we did. Let's see. The Surfside Inn, it has a Starbucks in there. It has a restaurant. The prices are expensive for it. But you could go in there and get pizza. You could get pizza delivered to your room. We got pizza twice, I think, on a night when we came back in. One night we got 2 pizzas. One night we just got 1. Because we were just like kind of snacking on that. Got breadsticks for my son. And then they had like quick grab stuff. I think like sandwiches and 20-ounce bottles of drinks and things like that. Or I think you could get pasta and burgers and things like that. You could sit down there in the restaurant and eat, but we didn't do that. We just got it and took it back to the room. I think this video is long enough, and I think I have covered everything. So if I didn't cover something, you got any questions, put it in the comments. I will see y'all in the next video.